Hello, everyone. Welcome to TALRadio. This is me, RJ Saankhya, hosting through the interview today. And this is the show where we bring you inspiring stories of organizations that are making a real difference in the world. So, you all know that I've interviewed a lot of organizations, each sharing their missions and endeavors, and we often overlook a crucial question here: who takes care of the mental health of those driving these impactful initiatives? So enter R.C. Warner Consulting, a beacon of light in the corporate landscape, dedicated not just to organizational success, but also to the well being of the individual steering the ship. So today we unravel the layers of an organization that not only understands professional aspirations, but also recognizes the significance of mental wellness in the journey towards excellence. But before that, let me take the pleasure to introduce you the man of excellence, our honorable guest, Dr. Ryan C. Warner, founder and CEO of RC Warner Consulting. So, Warner is a globally recognized speaker, award winning psychologist, published scholar, and a military veteran. So, as the founder and CEO of RC Warner Consulting, he brings a wealth of experience in strengthening organizational performance by promoting inclusion and mental wellness in the workplace. So, at this point, I can really assure you that Ryan Warner is the best person we can chat with for deep insights on workplace wellness. So now let me take the privilege of delving into the insights and expertise of Dr. Warner as we explore the impactful work of RC Warner Consultancy. But before that, let me welcome Dr. Warner onto the show. Welcome, Dr. Warner. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. So tell us something about yourself and also what inspired you to establish this wonderful company.
Great, yes. So I am originally from Chicago, Illinois area. I am a United States veteran, and during the time that I served as an active duty psychologist within the United States Air Force, I began to gain a passion for promoting workplace excellence and workplace wellness. And I recognize that you cannot be excellent within the workplace without promoting the well-being of the employees and the leaders. I began to see a lot of individuals on the military installation that I was working at. They were really burned out. They experienced a lot of stress, whether it be racial stress or stress related to interpersonal conflict with leadership. They had a difficult time balancing their personal responsibilities and their workplace responsibilities. And I began to recognize the significant impact that had on accomplishing organizational goals and team performance and team dynamics. And in turn, I was like, hey, I'm really passionate about helping improve the well-being of individuals one-to-one, but I also wanted to go into the organization and shift the culture and shift the policies and be able to tear down those systemic barriers that have an influence on the well-being of employees. So in turn, by working on the individual well-being and in combination with enhancing systemic well-being, that ultimately helped organizations reach their maximum potential. So I use my background as a psychologist, as an expert of human behavior, to help drive emotional intelligence within the leaders that I was working with. And in turn, I got a lot of fulfillment out of that work. So that ultimately led me to ultimately leaving the military and then beginning my own consulting company. And now I work with organizations across the globe to enhance workplace wellness. So that's my journey.
That is quite inspiring, Warner. So, can you provide a brief overview of RC Warner Consulting and its core mission in the realm of organizational development?
Definitely. So we are passionate about assisting teams with creating a culture of wellness in the workplace to maximize their potential. And we do that through providing multiple solutions. We provide individual coaching to workplace leaders, so CEOs, executive leaders, mid-level managers, to help teach them how to improve their emotional intelligence so that they can ultimately drive change within the workplace. We also provide a lot of speaking engagements, keynote speaking engagements, conference workshops to help train employees and also leaders in workplaces what can they do individually and as a team collective to be able to support each other, to reduce burnout, to improve motivation, to inspire other people, to figure out how you can all work together to accomplish a certain mission and goal. Okay. And then lastly, we provide consulting solutions. So we look at workplace barriers, policies, procedures. We look at strategic plans and strategic visions and identify how can those be adapted so that every employee can come to work feeling that they belong in the workplace, that they're fulfilled in the work that they do. And also the policies are supporting their overall mental health so that they can ultimately give their best in the work that they do.
That sounds wonderful. So, can you share a notable success story where RC Warner Consulting made a significant impact on the organization's performance through its services?
Yeah, great question. So about a year and a half ago, we worked with a medium-sized organization. They had about 50 to 60 employees. They were working in multiple states within the United States. And ultimately, they wanted to identify, yeah, how can they be able to support their employees a little bit better, and be able to attract a more diverse clientele. So what we did is a deep dive. We first looked into their strategic plan and we looked into their policies and procedures. We identified, hey, what clients do they have now and what clients do they want to gain a little bit more when it comes to improving their diversity? How are they supporting their employees and how are they not supporting their employees when it comes to their benefits, their well-being, what they're providing, how they're giving back? Okay. And then number three, what is the leadership pipeline, right? Do individuals feel that they can be able to be a leader within this organization? How does promotion work? Okay. So we did a deep dive of the entire systems and we recognized there was a lot of gaps when it comes to the employee wellness. We recognize, for instance, that there were certain individuals within the organization that did not get promoted. For instance, people of color, right? And those who were a little bit older. And we saw that we need to take a more diversity and inclusion lens when it comes to promoting wellness. Okay. How can we ensure that everyone can come to work and have a fair chance of being promoted within their roles? Uh, so we identified that this is not only a diversity, equity, inclusion issue, but also a wellness issue. And we recognize we cannot talk about one without talking about the other. Okay. You can't say you want to improve wellness in the workplace and also do not support the belonging of your employees, right? So we ultimately shifted the strategic plan. We worked with leaders. We did executive coaching to teach them how to improve their understanding of inclusion, to teach them how to improve their understanding of emotional intelligence. Okay. And then with that combination of individual coaching and also shifting their strategic plan, then we also obtain data later on, and we recognize that number one, now that we make these changes, this organization was able to attract a more diverse clientele. They were to have employees come to the organization and stay longer. Okay, so retention efforts were increased. And employees identified on the post-evaluation survey that they felt more included now that we shifted the system, shifted strategic planning, and shifted the ways that we brought the team together. Okay, so that's just a case study of how important workplace inclusion and also wellness is, and how significant of an impact it can have, not only in supporting the employees, but also bringing in the diverse clientele to ultimately improve profit. Okay. So just want to provide that example.
Great. So, how exactly do you tailor your solutions to meet the unique needs of your clients?
Yeah, so first, I work with all different industries. Okay, so I've worked with Fortune 500 companies, government entities, non-for-profits, privately held companies as well. So first, when I go into organizations, I need to understand their culture. I need to understand what are the subconscious messages that are being conveyed within their workplace. Okay, so for instance, is working outside of hours, is that being celebrated? Okay. Do people who work on the weekends, do they get promoted at higher rates? If so, what message is that telling other employees when it comes to workplace wellness, for instance, right? So I need to understand their particular workplace culture. And in turn, as an outside consultant, I can provide a non-biased type of viewpoint and bring that to higher level leadership. Hey, here are the messages, subconscious messages that are being conveyed to your employees. Oh, also, let's look into your employee handbook. Okay, here are some maybe policies that maybe really don't support workplace inclusion or workplace wellness, right? So I'm able to point those type of things out. And in turn, that is, significantly beneficial to improving performance within that organization. So the first thing I do, I take a customized approach. I learn about that particular industry. I learn about that particular workplace. I study their strategic plan, identify, with the collaboration with leaders and teams, identify what's working well for them, what needs to be improved, where are they at now, and where do they want to be, and what is stopping them from getting to where they want to be as an organization. So using that collaborative, customized approach, organizations really feel valued and they feel that their voice is being heard.
That's so wonderful. So I always find it really interesting on how you sustain your personal commitment to your mission, especially when this particular field, psychology, is often faced with a lot of challenges and skepticism.
Yes, definitely. So everything I do is attached to, my passion and my purpose. I feel that, based on not only on my educational background, but also just my personal background, personal experiences, we spend most of our life at work. Okay. And if we, go to a workplace in which you don't feel valued, in which we don't feel that that our well-being is being supported, that's going to have a significant impact on our overall life, and overall well-being. So knowing that, despite the fact that this work is sometimes challenging, right? And despite the fact that, we live in a society in which there are a lot of, different challenges, right? Not only in the workplace, but also in the society at large, right? All those things could take a toll on us and on our overall well-being. And I want to be that light of hope, and I want to be that person who is able to be a change agent. So that I think that purpose helps me push through the challenges that I experience, and ultimately, when I'm able to see that I really helped individuals and also workplaces, be better and be excellent, and achieve the top 1% of their industries, that gives me a lot of fulfillment and motivates me to keep going.
Wonderful, Dr. Warner. So, reflecting on your personal journey, what have been some of the most fulfilling moments in your work at RC Warner Consulting?
So I think the most comforting part of my work is working with high level leaders and seeing them from our first executive coaching session to our last executive coaching session, and see how much they've grown when it comes to boosting their emotional intelligence. And, I'll often think about it is, hey, if you're able to leave executive coaching being 1% better, right, then I think I did my job, right? And, having a lot of experience working with very high performing leaders, I'm not trying to come in and tell them they need to do all these things different. Instead, I'm trying to identify how can you improve by 1% so you can make a better influence, on your employees and also within your organization. So whether that be improving your public speaking skills, whether that be improving their self-confidence as a leader, whether that be enhancing their emotional intelligence and helping them communicate better, right? We customize that executive coaching to fit their particular needs. And every person who comes to me, when they put in the effort, they see, significant benefit. And I get a lot of, pleasure and satisfaction when it comes to, being able to help them on their journey to be better, more effective leaders.
Great. So, looking ahead, what innovations or expansions can we expect from RC Warner Consulting in the coming years?
Yes, great. So recently we launched a new initiative. It's called the Warner Lead Well Initiative. Ultimately, it is a high-level coaching package that is directed specifically towards the top 1% of leaders. So those leaders who are very successful, very high performing, those who are interested in, boosting their performance even more, so they can continue to, make change and also get to the next level as a leader. So working with those, high performing, highly, motivated leaders, my job is to provide executive coaching so that they can further boost their emotional intelligence. Because in my experience, working with leaders across the world, I have recognized that they can be very successful, however, have very low emotional intelligence at times. Sometimes they're unable to manage their emotions. Sometimes they're unable to handle everything that's going on in their personal life. Sometimes they, don't know how to communicate, right, to their team, right? So ultimately, being able to improve their emotional awareness, research shows that they're going to be more effective as leaders. They're going to experience less burnout, less mental health and depressive symptoms, and ultimately thrive, further in their roles. So that's a new initiative that we are launching in 2024, the Warner Lead Well mission. And ultimately, our job is to provide high-level coaching to very motivated leaders to boost their emotional intelligence so that they can be and perform in the top 1% within their industries. So that's an initiative that we're really passionate about and interested in. And if anyone listening to this is interested in learning more, feel free to reach out.
Great. So let's talk about you for a second. So, on a personal note, what are some of the causes that you personally advocate, and how do you incorporate these causes to your company as well?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in work-life harmony. Okay, not work-life balance, right? Because I don't like using that term because sometimes it's hard to have 50% balance, in all of your areas of your life. Okay, instead, I think about how can we harmonize our work and our personal life. How do we bring these two domains of our life together so they support each other? Okay. Because I know that if I go home and I experience a lot of stress within my home life, as a father, as a husband, right, as a brother, as a son, then ultimately that's going to impact my work life and vice versa. I experience a lot of issues at work, I may bring that to my home life and have that and see that impact. So I'm a big believer in figuring out how we can maximize work-life harmony. How can we set time boundaries on the work that we do? Recognizing that high performing leaders, are definitely probably going to work outside of their 9 to 5. Okay. However, how do you set up boundaries? How can you be kind to yourself? How can you also be vulnerable and raise your hand and say, hey, I need some additional support right now. I'm really burned out. I'm really stressed out. Right. So I'm a big believer in vulnerability, of work-life harmony, and also setting up time boundaries in your life, right? And boundaries with others so that you can be successful as a leader and as a change agent.
Great. I'm sitting here and taking notes on work-life harmony because that's something really interesting that I've heard for first time. So, talking about these causes, in what ways can individuals or communities get involved and support these causes?
Number one, raising your hand and identifying when you need support. I think is important that everyone, can take that action. Okay. So when do you start to feel really burnt out? Okay. How do you know that you burned out? Maybe you can feel it in your body. Maybe your body starts to ache a little bit more, or it's harder to get out the bed each and every day. Or maybe you're projecting your anger onto others. Maybe you're really quick to irritability, right? Or maybe you're feeling increased anxiety, right? Or sleep issues. But recognizing those symptoms when you need some support is essential. Okay, that's number one. That's something that everyone can do. And then number two, when you identify that, then look at, hey, what type of support do I need? Do I need some mental health support? Do I need some executive coaching, right? Do I need to reach out to a family friend or a loved one for emotional support, right? Do I need to maybe take some time off of work? Okay. Do I need to convey that to my supervisor? Right? Do I need to advocate for more mental health support within my organization? Right? Identify what is one step that you can take to create more work-life harmony in your life. And that's going to be a good example for others. And then number two, I think another step that you could take is reaching out, right, to experts, for instance, like myself, and I can guide you in the right direction. Maybe you have a question about, executive coaching versus, mental health counseling. What's the difference, right? Or, maybe you recognize, hey, our workplace, we need to have more presentations and workshops, so we can destigmatize mental health. feel free to reach out as well, right? That's a change that you can make in your workplace. And maybe I can come in and I can do a speaking engagement, right? So recognize there's a lot of steps you can take just individually, and also for your workplace. But I think in general, doing something, right? Being able to identify when you need that support and taking that step, to approach and not avoid, I think that is essential.
Great. So, what are some significant challenges has RC Warner Consulting faced in its mission, and how have you overcome these obstacles?
Yes, I think the biggest challenge has been, just the mental health stigma. A lot of individuals may be hesitant when it comes to talking about mental health and mental support, right? And that's why I typically use the terms like emotional intelligence, right? Because that's a little bit, less stigmatized versus, mental health, right, in the workplace. So I think the mental health stigma, because nobody wants to feel that they need that additional support, right? No one, especially high performing leaders and high performing workplaces. But recognizing this impacts every workplace across the world, right? We've all can think of a time in which we felt burned out, in which we feel stressed out, right? That has happened to every single person who's probably who's listening to this call today. So recognizing that it's okay to reach out to support, and that actually makes you stronger, right? When you do reach out to that support, okay, whether it be executive coaching or counseling, right, or just trying to do some education, on your own, right? So I think that's the biggest barrier. However, when we're able to, get into those workplaces, work with leaders, conduct presentations and speaking engagements and engage in consulting, people find that, hey, this is not that bad, right? And this is actually much needed. And a lot of people say to me, hey, I wish I, engaged in this support a lot earlier on. So yeah, that's something we're continuing to, trying to overcome, and something that, sometimes serves as a barrier.
Great. So, as we come to the end, before we wrap up, can you explain why we need more organizations like RC Warner Consulting in today's world? And also, please feel free to add anything that you might want to tell to our listeners before we go.
Well, number one, emotional intelligence is everything. Every single decision that we make every single day, we rely on our emotional intelligence. Okay. When it comes to, hey, I'm going through a lot of my personal life. Okay. When you go to work, how do you manage that? Okay. Or, hey, I have a lot of tasks at work. Okay. How do you use your emotional brain and your rational brain so you can make the best decisions? Right. So every single decision we make, we have to be in tune with our emotions. We have to be, very sharp mentally. And everyone can always improve in that. I think about emotional intelligence as like going to the gym for your mind. Okay. We go to the gym. Why? Because we want to maintain and improve physically. And we recognize how important our physical well-being is. Or our mental well-being is just as important, if not sometimes more important, right? And we can't have good physical well-being without also good mental well-being and vice versa. So I think that, if you're passionate about taking care of your physical health, you also, should take that active, intentional approach when it comes to improving your emotional health, right? And your emotional intelligence. So you can better improve as a leader, as an employee, and also feel fulfilled within the work that you do. So yeah, that's why we need more organizations, like RC Warner Consulting to improve workplace inclusion so that everyone can reach their optimal potential in workplace wellness. And then also the last thing I want to leave with everyone is, again, do something, recognizing that, hey, we're coming on a new year, 2024, right? What are you going to do different, right? What new habits do you want to, begin or sustain? Okay. And how is that going to help you just your overall well-being? I think just making that intentional, approach is going to be important so that you can, just further, improve, as a person and as a professional.
Wonderful. So, that's a wrap. And Dr. Warner, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights and expertise with us today. And your dedication in fostering inclusion and mental wellness is truly commendable. And I really appreciate your time for our Dal Radio listeners.
Definitely, yeah. If anyone wants to reach out to me, feel free to visit my website at www.rcwarnerconsulting.com. You can also Google my name and get in touch with me, Dr. Ryan C. Warner. or Ryan C. Warner, PhD on Google.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that as well. So that is Dr. Ryan C. Warner, founder and CEO of RC Warner Consulting. I hope you find this interview insightful. And for more such information, stay tuned to Dal Radio, powered by Touch Your Life Foundation. And let's meet with another interesting interview next time. And until then, this is me, RJ Sankhya, signing off for today. Take care, you all.